Now, coming days after the Supreme Court judgment, which dismissed PDP and Labour Party's appeal against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, that's Atiku Abubakar, has described the judgment of both the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal and the Supreme Court as unfortunate. Atiku, who was speaking at a world press conference at the PDP national headquarters in Abuja, maintained that the election was compromised by the electoral umpire, that's INEC, describing the outcome of 2023 polls as fraudulent. He also emphasized the need for electoral amendments and rotational presidency across the 6 geopolitical zones.
Well, co-convener of the Situation Room, Odi, joins us now to discuss ways to rebuild Nigeria in the aftermath of the Supreme Court judgment. She'll be discussing what needs to be done to reunite the nation and restore confidence in its institutions and leaders. Good to have you on Arise, Ma. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I am not a co-convener of Nigerian Civil Society Situation. I'm just a member.
We certainly hear you.
I'm the director of Emez Azu Center.
Okay, so Odi, I say we certainly hear your apologies for that. Odi, member of the Situation Room, joins us now. Thank you for being here. Now, based on the introduction, which Vimbai read earlier on about the World Press Conference that took place a few hours ago by the presidential candidate of PDP, what do you make of his recommendations in terms of moving forward after the Supreme Court judgment?
Okay, we have actually agreed after we saw the gaps in the implementation of Electoral Act of year 2022 that there is need for urgent amendment of the Act and also the constitutional amendment to ensure free, fair, inclusive, peaceful and credible elections. With all that happened in February and March and April of year 2023, we thought and we know that all the spaces and all the achievements we made over the years, we almost lost them. And we think there is urgent need for both constitutional and electoral act amendments to ensure free and fair, inclusive, peaceful and credible elections. And also to restore the confidence of the citizenry, because the citizenry are very angry over the issue. And because many people, INEC showed signs of improvement in Edo and Ondo of year 2020, September, October, and November of year, Anambra of year 2021, and June and July of Ekiti, and Osun State elections of year 2022. And the magic changer was actually the upload of election result from the polling unit to the server, INEC server or INEC left. So with what happened, we think that there is urgent need to ensure that the law, legal framework makes it mandatory for INEC to upload the result from the polling unit to their own server immediately after the election has taken place. And also, we also saw that part of the problem were the fact that INEC was actually working for the government in power. And we actually advocating that the appointment of INEC should be removed from the presidency. And the West report recommended that the judiciary will be the one to appoint. But we have seen what has happened to our judiciary today. And we do not support judiciary to be the one to appoint INEC chairman. We're actually advocating for INEC chairman position and the national residential positions to be advertised for people to apply for it. And there should be background check on the person who applied. And even when they are shortlisted, they should actually check whether the people who are shortlisted have the integrity to be in INEC. And also to ensure that the presidency set up a committee of persons of integrity from across the country to interview INEC chairman and national office commissioners, so that we will now have confidence. Because if INEC gets it right, the elections will be right. And if elections are right, the democracy will start working. What we have is not a democracy, because democracy is centered around the people. And if people do not have input, if INEC and the judiciary decide who is our governors, our House of Rep members, our State House of Assembly members, and also senators in the Senate, then the people have been excluded. And then the democracy becomes a different kind of criminal enterprise, not actually the government of the people, by the people and for the people.
Okay,
I also think that the onus to prove that the election...
Okay, Odi, thank you so much. You speak so passionately and spirited, and that's highly appreciated. Now, we can hear your concern and your disgruntlement as civil society with the executive, the judiciary, and the electoral umpire as well. Now, here's my question is that, pending these reforms, how do we get the Nigerian people at large to buy into the notion of Nigerian nation building again? Because you find that this is where apathy begins, where people feel disenfranchised. How do we get people to buy into the notion that everybody is a part of this project moving forward?
Okay, if INEC, like, when the people saw, despite the fact that we've been preaching to people, come out and vote, there is no democracy without the people. They didn't come out. When they saw that INEC was getting it right, from Edo, Ondo, year 2020, Anambra, year 2021, Ekiti, and Osun, year 2022, nobody preached to the people. They all came out to register. And every day we go to monitor the registration. You see crowd of people queuing to register. Many people came out to register. They came out to vote. What will make people to come out, despite our preaching or anything, what will make people to come out is there is election coming up very soon. And INEC can still prove on the 11th of November in Bayelsa, in Imo, and Kogi that they can actually turn the things around. And the people who have confidence. It's not easy to convince the people. It is the manifestation of what you said you would do. And if you do it, and the result shows that the people's expectation and preferences is what you announce as the result, the people on their own come and support you and participate. And if the people do not participate, and INEC actually should start by releasing the report of their audit of the year 2023 general election, and actually should hire independent consultants also to audit the year 2023 general elections and release a report. If there are gaps, they should say there are gaps. And if there are successes, they should also say. So they should actually say, we succeeded here, we failed here. Nigeria, give us more time, we'll get it right. But if you make mistake and assume that we are foolish people, that you didn't make mistake, you are talking to human beings that have minds and who can interpret things, who saw things, and also relate with them. We need to speak to the truth so that the people will be brought back. Let the people be part of the process, because that's what makes the democracy. If we continue the way we are doing and continue and say the few who have turned it to private business or a criminal enterprise is going well, one day something will just give way and we will lose everything. I was in the streets to campaign for democracy. We are not happy. I started fighting for democracy as a teenager. Now I'm old, and I'm still fighting for democracy. So we should actually do things right. INEC should actually release the report of their audit, their own audit of this year 2023 general election, and also hire independent consultants to audit the elections for them and release the report to the public. If there are things that didn't go well, they should say it. The truth. We start the healing, accountability from the truth. Even if it hurts, it is the truth helps to heal the wounds and to bring people back. And by a chance have presented itself by 11th of November in Bayelsa, in Imo, in Kogi State, they can actually do things right the way they did in year 2020 in Edo and Ondo. And the people will start watching them. Are they going to continue or not? By releasing their report to the public, we also boost the confidence of the citizens, and they say, yes, this INEC actually saying, we got it right here, we made mistakes here, forgive us if they made mistakes, and also we can do better tomorrow.
Well said, Of course, you mentioned earlier that if INEC gets it right, then our elections will go rather smoothly, which explains why we're focusing so much on INEC. And still talking about INEC, during the Supreme Court judgment, it was mentioned that INEC's assurances are basically promises, and that as long as it's not in violation of the Electoral Act, they're not necessarily bound by that and will have to use their discretion. I'm wondering how that part of the judgment, when you heard it, how that came across to you in terms of what it does to the minds of the electorate in terms of expectation of the electoral body.
Okay, you know, what we think and we concluded in our own corner is that if INEC actually goes ahead to do what is right, the judiciary will have little or no job to do. Because when they happened in Edo and Ondo, even those defeated accepted the result, and they didn't bother so much to waste their time. And also in Anambra, those defeated accepted their result. If INEC does things right, there will be no judiciary coming to spit on our face, the INEC. Because INEC promised us in year 2020, when there was no law backing even the upload of the result, they said we will upload this result, and they did. And that boosted our confidence. And they said in Anambra, and they did. And people were watching, they were so happy. People watched them year 2020, watched them year 2021, and he watched them year 2022. After Osun State governorship election, many people came out and said, yes, these people are actually on the way for us to rediscover and recover our INEC and also recover democracy. There is a serious link between democracy and free, fair, and credible election. If you do not do free, fair, and credible election, if anybody tells you that the political parties are the problem, we have always known that they are the problem. And we also know that when INEC does its work right, the political parties will do the right thing. Because if INEC does what they are supposed to do, they will checkmate the wickedness of the political parties. And then they will now know that there is an umpire that is ready to do the right thing and ensure that we have free, fair, and credible election. It is possible. When you just do the right thing, people will now know that there is seriousness to do the right thing. And the people will fall in line. Even the political class, they say they are wicked and they are this and they are this. If INEC decide to do what they are supposed to do, they themselves will know that it's a new day and they will fall in line. So my argument this afternoon is that the INEC should be the one whenever they organize an election to prove that they organize free, fair, and credible election. That's what the law should address. Then the onus be on INEC to prove in the court of law that we actually organize free, fair, inclusive, peaceful, and credible elections. Not on the candidate who suffered to contest election and INEC decided to do what they want to do. So then the onus be on INEC to prove that this election we conducted is free, fair, inclusive, peaceful, and credible election. That is one of the issues that the legal framework reform will address. It will also address the appointment of INEC chairman and national commissioners. That this will be removed from the power of the presidency. Now they have even shared it with the governors. So like then the people have a say in the appointment of INEC chairman and national commissioners. So we don't go and put politicians in INEC that will be there to work for different interests and different political parties. If we want free, fair, credible elections, and we should not bother to be organizing elections. If what we organize will not meet even the small threshold, there is no point to organize the elections. If Liberia is teaching us, a war-torn country will teach us how to organize an election, then it's very tragic. We should ensure that we have an institution. That's why we're always focusing on INEC. If INEC does it right, it will trickle down the State Independent Electoral Commission. It's because INEC makes mistakes. It's a competition of mistakes, both at the state and local government level. You will see anybody that organizes. You can see what happened in Edo in September year 2023. Obasanjo party won all the chairmen and councillors in all the local government. Because INEC has done their own. They too will do their own. If INEC gets it right, the country will start working. And the people voted for will be the one that to be in the seat of power. And they will do the biz of the people, not their own pockets. And you will see we will have a functional registration. And we also have a functional judiciary. Because there is now kind of a corrupt association. People are just doing what they like. If you do, I say go to court. Court is waiting to collect their own. So everybody is waiting it's an organized crime. We need to change. We need to get INEC to work.
Right, now, still on INEC working, and you made reference to this earlier, so I'd like to focus on a critical piece of the puzzle that many place their faith on, which of course is the IREV. And when we look at the Supreme Court judgment, the IREV was referred to as a viewing portal and not a collation portal. Do you think we should still be focusing so much emphasis on the importance of IREV if the prognosis is that IREV is simply there to release or announce results, whether it's up, whether it's down, it doesn't stop the collation process. It's just a viewing portal. What's your take on this? And is this a safe or a problematic perspective to have regarding the role of IREV?
That's what I suggested in my opening remark, that we should make it mandatory for INEC to release, to upload the result from the polling unit to IREV. And also, it should also be the deciding factor in the law. Because if you make it mandatory in the law, and now why did we fight so much for it to be in the law? Because in year 2019, in Rivers State Governorship Supreme Court judgment, they did not recognize smart card readers. That law did not. That judgment did not. So INEC, the present INEC, have gone ahead to be uploading this result even before it was recognized by law. We are saying that the law should make it mandatory for INEC to upload the result, and let the result uploaded be the deciding factor. What he says now is that when there is a dispute in the results from the collation center, that the one uploaded will be the one that will have the final say. But I am saying that we should amend the law to make it mandatory for the INEC to upload this result, and let this result be the one that will decide that this is the one that will be taken, as it happens as they were uploading results in year 2020 September in Edo. It was showing, and everybody was seeing it. Everywhere you upload, and the people were calculating the result. So if you do what was done in Edo, in Anambra, within 3 hours, almost all the local governments in Anambra have uploaded the result. So if you do what they did in Edo, in Ondo, in Anambra, in Ekiti and Osun, we won't be here where I am talking about this. But they didn't do it. The only game changer is the upload of that result. In these instances of second governorship elections that have happened for the past 3 years, that's the only game changer. So, because it was not made mandatory in the law, that was why the court can decide to call it anything. So we are asking that it to be made mandatory in law. And the people who left it at the discretion of INEC know that it can be used to rig election. And we have seen the gaps. And we are saying, okay, we have passed this one, Egypt. We are here on our way to a promised land. But we cannot get to that promised land unless INEC does what they are supposed to do. And also unless this law is amended to ensure that it's mandatory. Because this upload of the result has been the only game changer. There's nothing more. There's nothing more, And if you do not address it holistically and ensure that it has empowered INEC by law to upload this result, it cannot be left if they want to upload, or if they decide to upload it after 10 years, it is acceptable. If it is hanging, then nobody will have confidence in any electoral process or election. We will be talking about the election as we used to talk about it in year 2003, in year 2007. But during the introduction of the smart card readers, we started seeing changes. But the real changes came in year 2020 September and October, in year 2021 November, and in year 2022 June and July in Ekiti and Osun. So this, the only game changer was the upload of this result. And by the time they took care of it, they know there is nothing left. So we have to ensure, because if the law says so, the judiciary will have no, and equivocally so, and very clearly stated, the judiciary will have no other way than to support the law, because they are there to interpret the law anyway.
Well said, man. Now, as we round up with you, and we've touched extensively on INEC and the judiciary, in the interim, what do you recommend you would like to see for a reunification of Nigerians from all spheres, whether their candidate emerged victorious or not, to make sure that we actually get to that point and it doesn't plunge into a case where we're seeing people taking on battles for themselves?
I think the opportunity has presented itself in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi governorship election coming up on the 11th of November, year 2023. INEC has to show that he has learned some lessons from the year 2023 general elections. And they can start by actually releasing the report of the audit they did by themselves. And also hire consultants to do independent audit of the year 2023 general election as organized by INEC. And also, they have to ensure that all this they started promising again, that they will upload the result in Bayelsa and Imo. Though nobody even believe them. When they read, they say, don't mind, they won't do it. But they can do it to prove to people that we can do it. And if people see that they have improved, they have stated their gaps, they have said we made mistakes, we succeeded in here. I am not going to be the one to tell INEC, this is where you succeed. It's an auditor that will audit the elections. I say INEC succeeded here, and they didn't succeed here. And somebody will say, that is accountability, that is transparency. So we made a mistake, and we saw it happened in this country in year 2007 when a sitting president said, okay, the election that brought me to power was not free, fair, and credible, and set up Waste Committee to actually come up with recommendations that will strengthen our electoral process and elections. So I think that both executive and also INEC has a big role to play to restore citizens' confidence and ensure if the people see Nigeria working, then everybody will queue in and support you. That is it. There's no two ways about it. If INEC does well today, I will be here to say, yes, INEC did well here. I have no personal interest. I don't care who becomes governor, president, or honorable member in Senate. What I want to see is a transparent process that leads to a transparent and a good result, reflecting the preferences and the choices of the people as they have made it. I don't want to know who is sitting in INEC. I don't care who wins election. I want to see, and all Nigerians want to see a transparent process and a good election that reflects the choices made by Nigerians, except those who are eating today. But when they stop eating, they come back to us and say, bad leaders, like our beloved Amechi was saying over the weekend. When they are no more in power, they will come back to us. And what we are asking, very simple, whether you are in power, out of power, let Nigeria be the focus. Let Nigeria, everything we are saying and working, let Nigeria be the focus. But because power is transient, you will not be there forever. Yesterday was Buhari, we were engaging him. Today is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tomorrow it might be another person. That is why it is well for us to do what is right and always put the country first. Because if there is no country, there is no us.
That's right. Very powerful words, and thank you so much for closing on that very poignant note. Maodi, member of the Situation Room, thank you so much for your time today.